You did not stumble upon this. Your soul called it forth. The awakening soul reveals how reality mirrors your innermost beliefs with perfect clarity. What you see is not separate from what you are. Now you begin the journey back to that sacred truth. The Codex of Awakening. Introduction. Standing at this sacred threshold, you hold in your hands an ancient map, not drawn with ink and parchment, but woven from the very fabric of universal truth. These teachings have whispered through the corridors of time, patiently waiting for those ready to receive them. Now they emerge once more, like golden rays piercing through clouds of forgetting. The wisdom contained within these chapters does not originate from any single mind or era. Rather, it flows from the eternal spring that has nourished every sage and mystic who has walked this earth. These are the timeless principles that have guided emperors and shepherds alike, the hidden laws that shape the very substance of existence. You have been drawn to this knowledge because your spirit recognizes its own reflection in these truths. Deep within, you have always known that there is more to life than what appears on the surface, that behind the veil of ordinary existence lies a realm of infinite possibility. This book serves as a bridge between what you see and what truly is. It reveals how your thoughts, like seeds planted in fertile soil, grow into the garden of your experience. Your emotions are not merely reactions to life, but the very energy that shapes it. Your beliefs are not passive observations, but active forces that mold the clay of reality. The universe responds not to what you want, but to what you are. It mirrors back to you the truth of your inner world with perfect precision. This is not mere philosophy. It is the fundamental architecture of existence itself. As you turn these chapters, you will rediscover what your soul has never forgotten, that you are not a passenger in this life, but its author. The power you seek has always resided within you, waiting to be awakened. Part 1. The Awakening Soul. Remembering the Truth. Chapter 1. The Echo Before Time. In a small village among ancient hills, there lived a man named Eli who spent his days crafting pottery from the earth. Each morning he would walk to his workshop, his hands moving through familiar motions, shaping clay into vessels that served the villagers well. Yet beneath the rhythm of his daily tasks, a peculiar sensation began to stir, like a melody heard in a dream, or words whispered just beyond hearing. At first, Eli tried to dismiss this inner calling, busying himself with more clay, more vessels, more of the same, but the echo persisted, growing stronger with each passing day. It spoke not in words, but in feelings, in moments when the sunlight caught the dust just so, or when the wind carried fragments of forgotten memories. One dawn, as he sat before his wheel, his hands hovering above the clay, Eli finally surrendered to this inner voice. In that moment of stillness, everything changed. The clay beneath his fingers became more than mere earth. It transformed into a reflection of something vast and knowing within himself. His creations, once simple vessels, began to carry an inexplicable beauty that touched all who beheld them. This truth extends beyond Eli's story and into your own life. The world you experience is not a fixed structure standing apart from you. It is a living reflection, responding with perfect precision to your deepest held beliefs and assumptions. Like a mirror that never lies, reality shows you the exact vibration of your being. Every circumstance, every encounter, every moment of your day flows from the well of your inner state. Consider Clara, who lived in a bustling city across distant shores. She moved through life believing herself unremarkable, and the world faithfully reflected this belief back to her. Yet one morning, while watching the sunrise paint the sky in impossible colors, something within her shifted. She began to see herself as the artist of her own life rather than a bystander. She didn't change her circumstances, she changed her perception. Gradually, the world around Clara transformed. Opportunities appeared where there had been walls. Strangers smiled where they had previously passed unseeing. Her art gallery, once a distant dream, materialized not through external force, but through the natural reflection of her transformed inner landscape. The ancient practice of mirror reflection. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed, a sacred corner of your home where the ancient practice can unfold without interruption. Take 3 deep breaths, letting each exhalation carry away the weight of worldly concerns, and allow your awareness to settle into the depths of your being. Chapter 2. The Veil of Appearances. In the heart of an old city, where cobblestone streets whispered tales of time, Walter kept his shop among the shadows of ancient buildings. His workbench, worn smooth by decades of dedication, held the intricate tools of his trade. Day after day, he peered through his loop, studying the delicate dance of gears and springs, believing he understood the mechanics of life itself. You see, Walter had mastered the art of fixing what was broken, of returning order to chaos. His reputation drew those with precious timepieces from far and wide. Yet despite his skill with physical mechanisms, something within his own life remained perpetually misaligned, a deeper rhythm he couldn't quite grasp. One evening, as golden light filtered through dust-laden air, Walter found himself unable to repair a particularly complex chronometer. His frustration mounted until, exhausted, he closed his eyes. In that moment of surrender, a startling awareness washed over him. The true mechanism he needed to understand wasn't lying on his workbench. It was operating within his own consciousness. This revelation unveils a fundamental truth. What appears solid and unchangeable in your life is far more fluid than you imagine. Reality is not a fixed clockwork universe, but a responsive field of infinite possibility. Your beliefs and expectations are not passive observers of this field. They are active forces that shape its very nature. Think of your current circumstances as water taking the shape of whatever vessel contains it. The vessel is your consciousness, your deeply held convictions about what is possible or impossible, worthy or unworthy, available or unavailable to you. Change the vessel, and the water, your reality, must reshape itself accordingly. In another part of the city lived Lillian, whose nimble fingers brought beauty to life through thread and fabric. She worked in a small atelier, creating garments that seemed to hold something more than mere stitches. While others saw only cloth and thread, Lillian saw potential waiting to be revealed. With each stitch, she wove not just fabric, but faith. Faith in the beauty that existed before it became visible to others. As weeks passed, those who wore her creations began to carry themselves differently. It wasn't just the cut or quality of the garments. Something ineffable had been sewn into their very essence. Lillian's unwavering belief in unseen beauty had called it forth into physical form. Now, find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and imagine a gossamer veil hanging before your life circumstances. See it clearly, this translucent barrier between what appears to be and what could be. Slowly, with reverence, lift this veil in your mind's eye. What lies behind it? What truth awaits your recognition? Take your journal and write down everything you glimpse in this unveiled reality, holding nothing back. Chapter 3: The Law Beneath All Things. In the verdant outskirts of an ancient village, Frank tended his garden with unwavering devotion. Each morning he would inspect the soil, testing its composition, adjusting its nutrients with meticulous care. The seeds he planted seemed almost secondary to his obsession with creating the perfect growing conditions. Year after year his harvest was adequate but never abundant, until an unexpected wisdom blossomed in his heart. You must understand that Frank's journey mirrors the fundamental misconception many hold about the law of attraction. Like him, you may focus entirely on external conditions, believing that if you could just get everything right on the outside, your desires would naturally manifest. Yet the law operates with far more sophistication than this simple equation suggests. Within every seed lies the complete pattern of its fulfillment. The oak sleeps in the acorn. The flower dreams within its bulb. Similarly, within you resides the complete pattern of everything you wish to manifest. The law of attraction responds not to your wishes or wants, but to the vibrational pattern you emanate. This pattern stems from your deepest beliefs, your emotional state, and your energetic signature. When you understand this truth, you realize that trying to manipulate external conditions while maintaining misaligned internal patterns is like Frank fussing over soil while planting dormant seeds. The law responds to what you are, not what you do. It matches your frequency with unwavering precision, bringing into your experience those things, people, and circumstances that resonate with your dominant vibration. Margaret, who taught at the village school, carried cynicism like a shield. Her interactions were tinged with skepticism, and her world reflected this frequency back to her with remarkable accuracy. Then, without conscious intention, she began performing small acts of kindness for her students, leaving encouraging notes on their desks, sharing extra supplies with those in need. She didn't realize that these actions were shifting her vibrational signature from doubt to love. Gradually, her world transformed. Parents became more supportive, students more engaged, opportunities more abundant. The law hadn't responded to her actions per se, but to the shift in her energetic identity. She had unknowingly aligned herself with the frequency of love, and the universe lawfully reflected this new vibration back to her. Sacred practice. The vibrational audit. Take your journal and divide a page into 7 sections, one for each day of the past week. In each section, record your dominant emotional states for that day. Were you primarily in trust or doubt, joy or frustration, peace or anxiety? Beside each emotion, note the experiences that seem to match this frequency. Watch how your external reality has been faithfully mirroring your internal state, revealing the law of attraction at work in your life. Chapter 4. The Language of the Universe. In the twilight hours of a small coastal town, Hank sat at his weathered desk, ink-stained fingers hovering over blank chapters. Words had always been his faithful companions, his tools for capturing the essence of existence. Yet lately, they seemed to mock him, dancing just beyond his grasp as he attempted to express the deepest yearnings of his soul. You must recognize that the universe speaks not through words, but through the silent language of feeling. Your emotional state broadcasts a signal far more potent than any verbal declaration. When you grasp this truth, you understand why some prayers seem to go unanswered, while others manifest with mysterious speed. The law of attraction responds to your emotional frequency. Think of emotion as the ink with which you write upon the fabric of reality. Joy, abundance, gratitude. These feelings are not merely responses to life, but instructions to the universal mind. Each emotional state emits a unique vibration, and this vibration becomes your request to the universe. Ruth, widowed after 40 years of marriage, discovered this truth without seeking it. In her darkest hours, she would close her eyes and let herself remember not just the events, but the feelings of joy she had shared with her beloved. As she immersed herself in these emotions, something remarkable began to unfold. The world around her slowly transformed, not because she asked it to, but because she had learned to speak in the universe's native tongue, pure feeling. Her story reveals that the universe does not respond to your words or wishes, but to the emotional energy you emanate. Ruth never spoke of wanting happiness again. She simply began to feel it, and in doing so, she transmitted a clear signal that attracted more experiences that matched that frequency. The ancient practice of emotional scripting. Choose an outcome you wish to manifest. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and immerse yourself in the feeling of your desire already being fulfilled. Don't merely imagine it. Feel it with every fiber of your being. Practice this emotional immersion for 5 minutes each day, letting the feeling become your truth. The universe will recognize this emotional signature and begin orchestrating circumstances to match it. Chapter 5. The Power of Assumption. In a dimly lit workshop on the outskirts of town, George hunched over his latest invention. Scattered around him lay the remnants of previous attempts, each one a testament to his dedication, yet also to his recurring disappointment. Night after night, he would tinker and adjust, his hands moving with precision, but his mind whispering familiar doubts. "This one too shall fail," the thought would echo, and like clockwork, each creation would mysteriously malfunction. You must understand that assumption is not merely a passive observer of reality. It is the architect, Your deepest assumptions are silent commands to the universal mind, shaping the very substance of your experience before it manifests. When you assume an outcome, you are not predicting the future, you are creating it. Every assumption carries a vibrational frequency that the universe must match. This is not a matter of choice, but of law. Your assumptions are the invisible molds into which the substance of life flows, taking the shape of your innermost expectations with perfect precision. The universe cannot help but conform to your assumptions, for they are the template you provide. Mabel, a gifted singer who performed in small cafes, lived this truth unknowingly. For years, she assumed struggle was the natural state of an artist's life. Then one evening, while watching a renowned performer, something shifted within her. Instead of seeing an unreachable dream, she felt a deep knowing. This, too, was her destiny. Without conscious effort, she began carrying herself differently, speaking as though her success was already assured. Her assumptions had shifted, and the universe had no choice but to rearrange itself accordingly. The true power of Mabel's transformation lay not in what she did differently, but in who she became in her own mind. Her new assumption created a frequency that attracted corresponding circumstances, opportunities, and connections. The universe simply matched her inner certainty with outer reality. Sacred practice. As you walk in nature or in your home, identify one limiting assumption that has shaped your experience. Feel its weight, its familiar presence. Now, craft its opposite, a new assumption that aligns with your desired reality. With each step, speak this new truth aloud, letting your body absorb its frequency. Walk until the new assumption feels as natural as breathing. This is not mere repetition. It is vibrational recalibration. Chapter 6. The Forgotten Alchemy. In the mist-shrouded streets of an ancient city, Thomas arranged his bottles and herbs with meticulous care. His reputation as an apothecary drew those seeking physical remedies, yet he remained blind to the most potent elixir of all, the power of his own thoughts. You stand now at the threshold of understanding the most sacred of sciences, spiritual alchemy. Just as base metals can be transformed into gold, your thoughts possess the power to transmute the very substance of your reality. This is not metaphor, but the hidden mechanism behind all manifestations. The universe operates through three essential elements: thought, emotion, and belief. These form the trinity of creation, the sacred formula through which the intangible becomes tangible. Your thought provides the direction, emotion supplies the energy, and belief ensures the completion. When these three align, you become the alchemist of your own existence. In the quiet depths of her garden, Grace tended to her flowers, each bloom a testament to her inner transformation. After losing her child, she had wandered through shadows of grief until discovering that joy could be cultivated like a seed. Each morning, she would close her eyes and paint her future with the colors of happiness. She felt the warmth of laughter returning, heard the music of life playing again, and saw herself helping others through their darkness. Slowly, imperceptibly at first, her reality began to mirror her inner vision. Grace's journey reveals the alchemical process in its purest form. She did not deny her pain, but transformed it through the crucible of intention. By blending her clear vision with deep feeling and unwavering trust, she created the conditions for healing to manifest. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you will not be disturbed. Take your journal and write down one heartfelt desire. Now, close your eyes and imagine this desire already fulfilled. What sounds fill your morning? How does your body feel as you move through your day? What conversations do you have? What actions naturally flow from this new state of being? Write every detail as though you are recording a memory rather than imagining a future. Let each word carry the weight of certainty, for in this practice you are not merely dreaming. You are engaging in the ancient art of spiritual alchemy. Chapter 7. The Mirror Principle. In a small cottage at the edge of town lived Edith, a painter whose greatest frustration was the warped mirror hanging in her studio. Each morning she would study her reflection, dismayed by how it distorted her features. She tried replacing the mirror, adjusting its angle, even hanging it in different rooms, but the distortion remained. One day, while cleaning her paint-splattered glasses, she noticed a stubborn smudge that had been there so long she'd forgotten its presence. As she wiped it away, she looked up at her reflection, and for the first time in years, saw herself clearly. You are now approaching one of the most powerful principles governing your reality, the law of reflection. The world you perceive is not separate from you. It is you, reflected back in infinite forms. Every judgment you cast outward first took root within. Every circumstance you resist carries a message about what you've denied in yourself. When you point to what's wrong with the world, you're really identifying what needs healing within. Your relationships, especially those that trigger strong emotions, are mirrors showing you parts of yourself you've yet to embrace. Your recurring challenges are not punishments, but invitations to see yourself more clearly. In the mountains lived Leo, who blamed the world for his solitude. He saw only coldness in others, only rejection in their gestures. For years he built walls higher, until one day he recognized that the hardness he perceived was his own heart reflected back at him. As he began softening his judgments of himself, something miraculous occurred. The world seemed to soften too. Neighbors he'd thought unfriendly began to wave. Strangers started smiling, and the very air around him grew warmer. Leo's transformation reveals the grace of this law. He didn't need to force change in others or manipulate external circumstances. By shifting his inner landscape, the outer world naturally adjusted to match his new frequency. Sacred practice. Choose one person or situation in your life that causes you discomfort or resistance. In the quiet of dawn or dusk, when the veil between insight and illusion grows thin, write down what this mirror might be showing you about your own beliefs or unhealed aspects. Ask yourself, what quality am I judging in them that I've rejected in myself? Let your writing flow without censorship, allowing each revelation to surface naturally. Notice the sensations in your body as you write. Tension, release, or resistance are all sacred messengers. Trust that each insight, no matter how challenging, brings you closer to wholeness. Remember that what triggers us most deeply often holds the key to our greatest transformation. Chapter 8. The Illusion of Time. In the heart of an ancient city, where cobblestone streets whispered tales of centuries past, lived Norma, daughter of the town's most respected clockmaker. One night, as the moon cast silver light through her window, she dreamed of standing in her father's shop. The countless timepieces that usually fill the air with their rhythmic ticking fell silent. Each clock hand froze, and in that suspended moment, Norma witnessed something extraordinary. She saw time itself as a vast ocean rather than a flowing river. You stand now at the threshold of understanding one of existence's most misunderstood mysteries. Time is not the linear path you've been taught to believe. It does not march forward in measured steps, but exists as a field of infinite possibility, responding to the frequency of your consciousness. The present moment is not merely a point between past and future. It is the creative center from which all realities emerge. Your memories of yesterday and visions of tomorrow are not fixed points, but malleable energies that shift with your vibration. When you change your consciousness in this moment, you alter both what was and what will be. Your attention is the needle that stitches together the fabric of your timeline. Where you place it determines which reality becomes your experience. The past exists not as an unchangeable fact, but as an interpretation that you can rewrite. The future is not a distant shore to reach, but a frequency to tune into now. In a small village by the sea lived Calvin, whose dreams were so vivid they seemed to breathe. While others spoke of goals as distant possibilities, Calvin lived them in his mind with such clarity that the universe had no choice but to align with his vision. He didn't chase time. He danced with it, letting his imagination paint such a compelling picture that reality rushed to match it. Just as Calvin discovered, your desired future is not waiting for you. It is calling to you. By aligning your vibration with its frequency, you collapse time and draw it into your now. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed, a sanctuary where the whispers of your soul can be heard clearly. Close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths, letting each exhalation carry away the weight of doubt and limitation. Now, step into your desired future as if it were happening in this moment, not as a distant dream, but as your living truth. Feel the textures beneath your fingertips. Hear the sounds that surround you in that reality. Embrace the emotions that course through your being. Let your heart swell with the joy and gratitude that naturally arise when you exist in this vibrant state of creation. Allow yourself to merge completely with this vision, knowing that as you align with its frequency, you collapse the illusion of time and space between where you stand and where you wish to be. This is not mere imagination. It is the sacred act of calling forth your destiny through the ancient practice of living from the end. Stay in this expanded state of consciousness for as long as you can maintain its pure clarity and resonance. Chapter 9. The Awakening Moment. In the depths of the city's oldest library, where dust motes danced in shafts of amber light, Sylvia moved through towering shelves with practiced steps. For 30 years she had walked these aisles, arranging and rearranging countless volumes of human knowledge. Yet on this day, as she reached for a leather-bound tome, a single yellowed page fluttered to the floor. Upon it, written in ink that seemed to shimmer with an inner light, were 4 simple words: "You are not asleep." You have carried within you every truth you seek. The quest for awakening is not a journey outward, but a remembrance inward. Like Sylvia discovering that ancient message, you too stand at the precipice of recognition, not of something new, but of something eternal. The veils that seem to separate you from truth are made of thought, woven from beliefs about what you are and what life must be. These veils do not protect you. They simply obscure the radiance that has always been your nature. Awakening is not the acquisition of wisdom, but the falling away of illusion. In the quiet hills beyond the city walls lived Howard, who had spent decades seeking enlightenment. He wore a blindfold, believing it would help him see beyond physical reality. One morning, as he prepared for his daily meditation, his hands reached not for the cloth covering his eyes, but for the beliefs that had wrapped themselves around his heart. As these fell away, he realized that what he sought had never been hidden. He had simply been looking in the wrong direction. This tale mirrors your own journey. The awakening you seek is not found in ancient texts or sacred rituals, though these may point the way. It lives in the space between your thoughts, in the silence beneath your seeking. When you cease reaching outward for truth and simply allow yourself to be, the remembrance begins. Sacred practice. Find a quiet moment and a clean page where you will not be disturbed. Light a candle if you wish, creating sacred space for this communion with your deeper self. Allow your breath to slow and your mind to settle into the deepest truth you know, that still point within where all wisdom resides. Now, with pen in hand, write a letter to yourself from the perspective of your awakened being, the eternal, infinite part of you that has never lost its way, never forgotten its divine nature. Let the words flow freely, without judgment or editing, as though they come from the very source of knowing itself. Begin with the words, "I am the truth you have always known," and allow this higher wisdom to express what has remained constant through all time, what you are now awakening to remember, and what your soul has carried faithfully through every lifetime. Trust that the wisdom emerging through your pen carries the exact guidance you need in this moment. When you have finished writing, sit quietly with these words, allowing them to illuminate the path before you. Chapter 10. The Key of Willingness. Through the mists of time, a story emerges of Eleanor, whose sharp intellect had built walls against what she called mystical nonsense. Each morning she would scan scientific journals, pride herself on rational thought, and dismiss those who spoke of universal laws or spiritual truths. Her life appeared orderly, controlled, measured, until it wasn't. When her carefully constructed world began to crumble, career, relationship, health, she found herself standing in the ruins of certainty. In that space of profound uncertainty, something shifted, not a dramatic revelation, but a quiet opening, like a flower turning toward the sun. "What if," she whispered to herself one sleepless night, "I simply allowed myself to not know?" You too stand at this threshold of willingness. The universe does not demand blind faith. It invites curious exploration. Each transformation begins not with complete conviction, but with the gentle surrender of rigid certainty. This willingness creates an opening through which new possibilities flow. The law of attraction responds not to perfect faith, but to the space you create through willingness. When you release the grip of skepticism, even slightly, you allow the universal forces to demonstrate their reality. This is not about abandoning discernment, but about expanding your field of possibility. Samuel, who had seen the harsh realities of war, carried the weight of control like armor. His need to manage every detail, to guard against every possibility, had become a prison of vigilance. One morning, exhausted by the constant struggle, he simply stopped. In that moment of surrender, as he allowed himself to simply breathe without controlling the breath, peace found him. His story mirrors a universal truth. Transformation often arrives not through force, but through allowing. The shift in Samuel's life came not from adding something new, but from releasing his resistance to what was already there. The universe awaits your willingness. Like water flowing through newly opened channels, it moves through the spaces you create with your acceptance. Your willingness becomes the key that unlocks doors long thought sealed. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. A sanctuary where the noise of the world falls away. Close your eyes and center yourself with 3 deep breaths, feeling each inhale fill you with divine energy, and each exhale releases what no longer serves you. Then speak these words aloud. I am willing. Follow this opening with whatever you most deeply desire, letting the truth of your heart rise naturally to the surface. Speak it not as a demand, but as an invitation to the universe, knowing that your willingness creates an opening through which miracles can flow. Let your voice carry the gentle power of acceptance, free from strain or force. Repeat this practice daily, ideally at dawn or dusk when the veils between worlds are thinnest, allowing each declaration to open new channels of possibility in your life. Trust that with each expression of willingness, you align more deeply with the infinite wisdom that seeks to guide you toward your highest good. Part 2. The Aligned Creator, Walking Between Worlds. Chapter 11. The Choice to Align. In the fading light of dusk, Harrison climbed the winding stairs of his lighthouse, as he had done countless times before. Each evening he would polish the great lens until it gleamed, ensuring ships could find their way through treacherous waters. Yet, within his own mind, storms raged unchecked, thoughts crashing against one another like waves against rocks. You see, alignment is not a distant shore to be reached, but a choice made in each breath. Harrison's dedication to guiding others while neglecting his inner light mirrors a truth you may recognize. External order cannot compensate for internal chaos. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions move as one, the universe responds with grace. This is not mere coincidence, but cosmic law. Like three streams joining to form a mighty river, these aspects of your being must flow in the same direction. When they diverge, when thoughts contradict emotions, or actions betray both, life becomes an upstream battle. Consider Millie, whose classroom once felt heavy with obligation. Each morning, she would arrive early, her mind already tangled in worries about the day ahead. Then she discovered a simple truth. Gratitude, when felt deeply, creates a field of harmony. She began spending those early moments in thanksgiving for the sunrise, for her students, for the privilege of teaching. Her thoughts aligned with this appreciation, her emotions rose to match it, and her actions naturally flowed from this elevated state. As her inner world aligned, her outer world transformed. Lessons that once felt forced began to flow naturally. Students who had struggled found new understanding. Even the most challenging days held moments of unexpected joy. This was not magic, but the natural outcome of alignment. The power of alignment lies not in forcing change, but in allowing it. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions sing in harmony, you become a clear channel through which universal energy flows. Resistance dissolves, and what once required effort unfolds with ease. Sacred practice. In the quiet of dawn, create your alignment ritual. Find a space where you won't be disturbed. Begin with 3 deep breaths, allowing each exhale to carry away tension. Speak an affirmation that resonates with your deepest truth. Set your intention for the day ahead, not as a list of tasks, but as a state of being you choose to embody. Let these 5 minutes be your lighthouse, guiding you back to center throughout the day. Remember, alignment is not perfection. It is the continuous choice to bring your inner elements into harmony moment by moment, breath by breath. Through this practice, you invite the universe to move through you, rather than struggling to move against it. Like a river finding its natural course, your energy flows most powerfully when you release resistance and surrender to divine timing. Each time you consciously realign, whether through meditation, prayer, or simple presence, you strengthen this sacred connection. The universe seeks to express itself through you. Your role is simply to remain open, receptive, and willing to be guided by its infinite wisdom. Chapter 12. The Sacred Observer. In a courtroom of polished wood and solemn faces, Walter presided over countless lives, weighing evidence and passing judgment. For 40 years, he observed human nature in all its complexity, yet never turned that penetrating gaze inward, until the day his body betrayed him, and illness confined him to the stillness of his bed. In that enforced quiet, Walter discovered a truth that had eluded him throughout his years on the bench. The most important witness stand was within his own mind. As he lay there, unable to maintain his usual pace, he began to notice the constant stream of thoughts flowing through his consciousness. You too possess this innate ability to witness your inner world. When you step back and observe a thought without becoming entangled in it, something remarkable occurs. A space opens between you and the thought itself. This space is where transformation becomes possible. Think of your mind as a river. The thoughts are the water flowing past, but you are the bank, solid, unchanging, watching the current without being swept away. This act of witnessing creates a subtle shift in consciousness that allows you to see you are not your thoughts, but the awareness behind them. Beverly, a seamstress known for her intricate needlework, lived with anxiety that twisted through her days like loose thread. Her hands would shake as she worked, her mind spinning tales of potential mistakes and imagined criticism. Then she learned to treat her anxious thoughts as if they belonged to someone else, a nervous apprentice, perhaps, whose worries she could observe with gentle detachment. As she practiced this inner watching, she noticed how thoughts would arise, peak and fade, like waves on a shore. She didn't fight them or try to change them. She simply witnessed their coming and going. Gradually, the space between her true self and her anxious thoughts grew wider, clearer. Her hands steadied, her breathing deepened, and her work flowed with renewed grace. Sacred practice. Find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed. Set aside 10 minutes each day. Morning light often offers the clearest mind. Sit comfortably with a notebook beside you. Close your eyes briefly, then open them, and begin to write down each thought as it passes through your mind. Don't judge what appears. Don't try to direct or change the flow. Simply record what you observe, as if you were taking notes on someone else's stream of consciousness. This practice of pure observation will reveal patterns you never knew existed within your mind. Chapter 13. The Inner Sanctuary. In the rolling hills of a forgotten valley, Willis traveled from door to door, his briefcase heavy with promises of better lives through the products he sold. Each sale brought temporary satisfaction, yet left him feeling hollow inside. Until one winter evening, when a snowstorm forced him to seek shelter in an abandoned cabin. Within those weathered walls, stripped of his sales pitch and separated from his constant pursuit, Willis encountered something he'd been running from all along: silence. In that quiet space he discovered a wealth no commission could match, the untouched sanctuary of his own being. You too carry the sacred space within. Beyond the noise of daily life, past the endless stream of thoughts and desires, lies a sanctuary of perfect peace. This inner temple requires no ornate decoration, no special knowledge to access. It awaits your recognition, ever present beneath the surface of your seeking. When you cease the endless chase for external validation and material success, you discover that all you've been searching for already exists within. This truth reveals itself not through effort, but through surrender, not through acquisition, but through letting go. Dorothy, once celebrated for her musical genius, lost her ability to play after a devastating loss. Her fingers, which once danced across piano keys with effortless grace, became rigid with forced determination. She practiced relentlessly, pushing herself harder each day, yet the music remained mechanical, lifeless. Everything changed when she stopped trying to force the music and instead began listening to the silence between notes. In that space of surrender, she found her way back to the essence of music itself. The melodies returned, flowing not from her mind, but from a deeper well of being. Her story mirrors a universal truth. What you seek through external effort often emerges naturally when you learn to rest in your inner sanctuary. This place of stillness holds all the wisdom, creativity, and guidance you need. To access this sacred space within yourself, create an outer reflection of it in your daily life. Choose a quiet corner of your home. It need not be large. Place there only what brings you peace, perhaps a comfortable cushion, a cherished crystal, or a simple candle. This physical space becomes a gateway to your inner sanctuary. Each day, spend time in this sacred corner. Close your eyes and breathe deeply, allowing your awareness to settle beneath the surface of thought. Feel the presence of your own being, vast, peaceful, and complete. This practice of returning to your inner sanctuary will gradually transform your entire experience of life. Remember, the power you seek does not lie in external achievement or endless motion, but in the still, untouched center of your own being. Practice. Create your sanctuary space today. Choose a location in your home that will remain undisturbed, perhaps a quiet corner of your bedroom or a peaceful nook by a window. Make this space yours alone, free from the distractions of daily life. Clear away any unnecessary items, leaving only what resonates with your spirit's deepest peace. Sit there for 15 minutes each morning, breathing slowly and allowing yourself to sink beneath the surface of thought into the silence that awaits you there. Let each breath carry you deeper into stillness, past the chatter of your mind, beyond the concerns of the outer world. As you practice this daily ritual, you will discover that this sanctuary becomes not just a physical space, but a gateway to profound inner transformation. Chapter 14. The Spiral Path of Resistance. In the depths of the earth, where shadows reign eternal, Gordon descended each day into the mines, his lamp a constant companion against the pressing dark. For 30 years he fought against the blackness, seeing it as his enemy, until one fateful morning when his lamp flickered and died deep within the shaft. In that moment of complete darkness, something extraordinary occurred. As his eyes adjusted, he noticed tiny specks of light, minerals reflecting what little illumination remained. The darkness he had battled for so long revealed hidden treasures he had never before witnessed. You, too, face such moments of resistance in your life. Like Gordon, you may push against what appears as darkness, financial struggles, relationship challenges, or personal limitations. Yet these very obstacles carry within them the seeds of your transformation. When you encounter resistance, you have discovered not a wall, but a doorway. Each challenge points precisely to where your conscious desires clash with your unconscious beliefs. This discord creates the very friction you feel as resistance. Consider June, whose bakery remained mysteriously empty despite her exquisite creations. She blamed external circumstances, the location, the economy, the competition. Yet as her frustration mounted, she began to notice a pattern. Whenever success drew near, she found reasons to step back. Her resistance revealed a hidden belief that success would somehow separate her from those she loved. The very things you resist most strongly illuminate the beliefs that shape your reality. When money seems to evade your grasp, when relationships appear to follow painful patterns, when success feels perpetually out of reach, these are not punishments, but signposts. They reveal with perfect accuracy the beliefs you hold about what you can or cannot have, what you do or do not deserve. Sacred practice. Find a quiet moment and open your journal. Choose a time when you can be truly alone with your thoughts, free from the distractions of the outer world. Write at the top of the page, "What returns to me?" Below this, list 3 areas of your life where you experience recurring frustration or resistance, those persistent patterns that seem to follow you despite your best efforts to move forward. For each one, close your eyes and ask with gentle curiosity, what belief must exist within me for this pattern to persist? Breathe deeply and allow your inner wisdom to speak. Let the answers arise naturally without judgment or criticism, like leaves floating to the surface of a still pond. Some responses may surprise you, others might bring immediate recognition. Trust that each insight, no matter how uncomfortable, carries the seed of your transformation. This practice reveals the hidden architecture of your reality, showing you precisely where transformation begins. In witnessing these patterns with compassion, you begin to untangle the web of beliefs that has shaped your experience, opening the door to profound change. Remember, awareness itself is a powerful agent of transformation. Chapter 15. The Silent Architect. In the shadow of towering spires, Claude traced his fingers along ancient stone walls, marveling at how each block fit perfectly into place. For decades he had shaped stone into beauty, yet failed to notice how his own thoughts were shaping his life with equal precision. You possess within you an architect far more powerful than any master builder, your subconscious mind. Like the foundation of a cathedral, it silently supports every experience you encounter, every circumstance you attract, every pattern you live. This hidden architect works tirelessly, day and night, constructing your reality according to the blueprints you have unknowingly provided. Each thought you repeat, each emotion you nurture, each image you hold becomes a stone in the edifice of your life. The subconscious knows no difference between what is vividly imagined and what is experienced. It accepts whatever you present to it with regularity and emotional intensity. Your repeated thoughts become its commands. Your consistent feelings become its material. Your habitual images become its design. Martha understood this truth through an unexpected channel. As a piano tuner, she knew that strings hold their tension through consistent adjustment. When she discovered her life felt perpetually out of tune, she applied the same principle to her mind. Each night before sleep, when the conscious mind grows quiet and the subconscious becomes receptive, she visualizes herself in perfect harmony with abundance. She felt it, breathed it, lived it in her mind's eye. Gradually, her external world began to mirror her internal adjustments. New opportunities arose, relationships harmonized, and abundance flowed, not by chance, but by law. Her subconscious mind simply manifested what had become its new blueprint. Sacred practice. Choose one limiting belief that echoes through your life. Before sleep, when your mind is receptive, speak these words while holding a clear image of yourself embodying the new truth. I release all beliefs that no longer serve my highest good. I now know and feel that. Speak your new empowering belief. This truth sinks deeply into my subconscious mind, becoming my new foundation. I see myself living this truth. I feel it in every cell of my being, and so it is. Repeat this practice for 21 nights, allowing the images and feelings to grow stronger with each session. Your subconscious mind will begin to accept this new blueprint as reality. With each passing night, you will notice subtle shifts in your thoughts and reactions throughout the day, as though invisible hands are reshaping the very foundation of your being. Trust in this process, for it draws upon the ancient wisdom of those who understood that lasting change requires patience and devoted practice. The more vividly you can see and feel your new truth, the more rapidly your inner world will transform to match this sacred vision. Chapter 16. The Vibrational Field. In a small room filled with crackling equipment, Florence sat before her radio console, fingers dancing across dials as she searched through waves of static. Night after night, she strained to catch clear signals through the noise, growing increasingly frustrated when messages came through garbled and unclear. You hold within you a similar console. Your emotional frequency determines what signals you receive from the universe. Just as a radio must tune precisely to receive a clear broadcast, your vibrational state must align with what you wish to attract. The universe operates through resonance, responding not to your words or wishes, but to the energy you emanate. Every emotion carries its own distinct frequency. Joy vibrates differently than worry, gratitude differently than lack. What you experience is always a perfect match to your dominant emotional tone. When you understand this principle, you realize that changing your life isn't about forcing outcomes. It's about adjusting your frequency. The universe isn't ignoring your requests. It's responding precisely to the vibration you're broadcasting. Dale discovered this truth in his barber shop. Rather than fretting over empty chairs, he began each morning humming his favorite tunes, filling his space with genuine joy and warmth. He didn't advertise more or slash prices. He simply maintained a higher frequency and soon found his shop filled with clients who resonated with his energy. His success wasn't magic or coincidence. It was vibrational alignment in action. By consistently broadcasting a frequency of joy and abundance, he attracted circumstances that matched that signal. Sacred practice. For the next 7 days, pause 3 times daily, morning, afternoon, and evening, to record your emotional frequency. Create a simple journal entry for each observation. Time of day. Dominant emotion. Events, circumstances. Experienced. At week's weekend, examine your notes. You'll discover a clear correlation between your emotional broadcast and the experiences that followed. This awareness becomes your tuning dial, allowing you to consciously adjust your frequency to attract the reality you desire. Remember, the universe doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. Your emotional frequency is your point of attraction. your broadcast to the infinite. Choose it wisely. Like a radio tower emitting signals into the cosmos, you are constantly transmitting your inner state to the universe. Every feeling, every vibration you hold becomes a beacon, drawing to you experiences that match your broadcast. This is why masters throughout the ages have emphasized the cultivation of positive states of being over mere wishing or wanting. Your desires may point the way, but it is your sustained emotional frequency that opens the gates of manifestation. Chapter 17. The Portal of Imagination. In a quiet corner of an ancient library, Agnes sat surrounded by towering shelves of leather-bound books. Each evening, as shadows lengthened across worn wooden floors, she would lose herself in tales of adventure and romance, letting the stories wash over her like gentle waves. You must understand that imagination is not mere fantasy. It is the sacred language through which the universe receives your deepest intentions. When Agnes immersed herself in these stories, she unknowingly activated a power as old as creation itself, the power to shape reality through focused visualization. Your imagination is the workshop where tomorrow is crafted. Every image you hold in your mind, every scene you play behind closed eyes, sends ripples through the fabric of existence. These ripples return as the circumstances of your life. Eugene understood this truth without knowing its name. During the harshest drought his farm had seen in decades, he began spending his mornings sitting on his porch, eyes closed, feeling phantom raindrops on his skin. He imagined the sound of water striking leaves, the smell of wet earth, the sight of puddles forming in his fields. He lived in that reality so completely that his body responded as though the rain were already falling. Within days, clouds gathered above his land. This power resides within you now. The future you desire is not waiting to be discovered. It waits to be imagined into being. Through concentrated visualization, you imprint new patterns onto the field of infinite possibility. Sacred practice, the theater of creation. Find a private space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Now, step into a scene from your desired future. Don't simply watch it, become it. Feel the clothes against your skin. Notice the sounds around you. Breathe in the aromas of this new reality. Move your body as though this scene were happening now. Speak the words you would speak. Let your emotions rise naturally in response to this experience. Maintain this living visualization for 10 minutes, allowing yourself to be fully present in this moment you've created. Remember, you are not pretending. You are practicing the art of conscious creation. The universe does not distinguish between what you vividly imagine and what you physically experience. Both imprint equally upon the subconscious mind, and it is the subconscious that holds the blueprint for all that manifests in your life. Through this sacred theater of creation, you are crafting the very essence of your future reality. Each detail you envision, each emotion you generate, and each sensation you embody serves as a divine instruction to the infinite intelligence that shapes your world. When you engage in this practice with unwavering faith and crystal-clear intention, you activate the ancient laws that have guided mystics and masters throughout the ages. Chapter 18. The currency of faith. In the dimly lit corners of a downtown casino, Harold clutched his last chips, his knuckles white with tension. Night after night he had watched his fortunes rise and fall, not realizing that his greatest opponent wasn't seated across the table. It was the doubt festering in his own mind. You see, the universe responds not to your desires, but to your deepest convictions. When Harold placed his bets, his hands trembled not from excitement, but from an inner certainty of loss. His doubt was a magnetic force, pulling toward him the very outcomes he feared most. The law works with unwavering precision. Your faith becomes your reality, not the faith spoken of in temples and churches, but the quiet knowing that lives in your bones. It is the certainty that moves mountains, parts seas, and transforms circumstances without visible effort. Lorraine discovered this truth in the silence of her empty home. After her husband's passing, she spent months avoiding mirrors and declining invitations. But one morning she woke with an inexplicable knowing. Love would find her again. She didn't search for it or chase it. She simply knew, with a certainty that transcended logic, that love was already on its way. Within months, joy returned to her life in unexpected forms, culminating in a chance meeting that blossomed into deep companionship. Your faith is the invisible bridge between what is and what could be. It is not hope, which wavers with circumstances, but knowing, a profound alignment with the reality you wish to experience. When you truly believe, your entire being shifts into harmony with your desire, and the universe has no choice but to reflect this new frequency. Sacred practice. Choose one desire close to your heart, something that stirs your soul and quickens your spirit when you contemplate it. For one full day, from sunrise to sunset, live as though it has already manifested in its fullest expression. Let every action, word, and thought stem from this new reality, allowing no doubt to cloud your certainty. Notice how your posture changes, how your shoulders lift with quiet confidence, how your voice carries different weight in conversations, how decisions become clearer through this lens of certainty. Pay attention to how the world responds to your shifted state of being, the subtle synchronicities that appear, the doors that seem to open effortlessly, the way others react to your transformed presence. This is not pretense or mere imagination. It is sacred practice in energetic alignment, a precise tuning of your frequency to match the reality you wish to call forth. Through this conscious embodiment, you demonstrate to the universe your readiness to receive that which you seek. Chapter 19. The Divine Delay. Through countless dawns and dusks, a train conductor named Gerald lived by the steady rhythm of schedules. His pocket watch became his compass, his timetables a sacred text. Each departure and arrival marked the heartbeat of his ordered world, until the day everything changed. In this moment of cosmic orchestration, you begin to understand a truth that has echoed through the ages. What appears as delay in your life is often divine protection unfolding. When Gerald missed his train that fateful morning, his initial response was panic. Yet that very train would later derail, and in the space of his missed opportunity lay the gift of life itself. The universe operates on perfect timing, though its schedule rarely matches your own. Every seeming delay carries within it a hidden calibration, a subtle adjustment of circumstances, energies, and possibilities that must align before your desire can manifest in its highest form. When you resist delay, you resist the very process that prepares the path before you. Think of a flower forcing its bloom before spring. It would only lead to withered petals and unfulfilled potential. Your desires require not just your readiness, but the readiness of all elements involved. Consider Nellie, whose dream of opening a birthing clinic seemed perpetually delayed. Month after month, her plans met obstacles, unavailable buildings, pending permits, hesitant investors. Yet in this waiting period, something profound occurred. Her vision clarified, her skills deepened, and her confidence grew. When the clinic finally opened its doors, it exceeded even her initial dreams, for she had grown into the fullness of her role. The delay you now experience is not a denial. It is preparation. Like a master composer arranging every note in perfect sequence, the universe orchestrates countless elements to create the symphony of your manifestation. Sacred practice. Find a quiet moment and write a letter to the universe, addressing the delay that currently challenges your patience. Begin with these words: I acknowledge this sacred pause in my journey. Express gratitude for the unseen orchestration taking place behind the scenes. Pour your heart onto the page, sharing both your dreams and your willingness to trust in the greater plan unfolding. Recognize that even now, countless threads of possibility are being woven together on your behalf. Allow yourself to feel the profound truth that this waiting period serves as a cocoon of transformation, nurturing your eventual emergence. Close your letter by affirming your trust in divine timing, knowing that what appears as waiting is actually the precise arrangement of your highest good. Seal your letter with love, understanding that the universe receives every word with infinite compassion and responds with perfect wisdom. Chapter 20. The Silence Between Worlds. In a small mountain town, where messages traveled across copper wires and through crisp mountain air, lived Rufus, a telegraph operator who understood the sacred language of silence. Each day, he translated the rhythmic dots and dashes that carried news across vast distances. Yet what fascinated him most was not the signals themselves, but the spaces between them, the precise moments of stillness that gave meaning to every message. You see, within these intervals of silence, Rufus discovered a profound truth that echoes through the chambers of existence: the power of the pause. Just as a musical score requires rests to create melody, life demands moments of stillness for creation to unfold. The universe speaks in this same language, a divine Morse code where manifestation pulses between action and stillness. When you learn to honor these sacred pauses, you align with the natural rhythm of creation itself. Your desires do not materialize through constant doing, but through the delicate dance of engagement and release. Consider how a seed transforms beneath the soil. In apparent stillness, tremendous power gathers. The same holds true for your intentions. They root themselves in the fertile soil of silence before breaking through to visible form. Irene, working the quiet hours in a hospital ward, came to understand this wisdom in her own way. Night after night, she moved through dimly lit corridors, initially fighting the silence that surrounded her. But gradually, she noticed how answers would arise in these hushed moments, intuitive knowing that transcended logical thought. The empty spaces she once rushed to fill became sanctuaries of clarity, where wisdom whispered its truths. What appeared as void was actually fullness in disguise. In the spaces between her thoughts, between her actions, between her words, there lay the seeds of all possibility. Like Irene, you too carry this capacity for deep listening, for allowing the universe to speak through the silence. Sacred practice. Each day, create 5 minutes of absolute stillness. Sit in a space free from distraction and bring forth one question that seeks answer in your life. Do not strain for the response. Simply pose your question to the universe, then rest in the silence that follows. Let your breath become gentle, your mind quiet. Trust that in this space between thoughts, between moments, wisdom will arise. The answer may come as a feeling, an image, or a knowing beyond words. This is the language of silence, the sacred Morse code of the soul. Part 3. The Living Codex, Becoming the Law Itself. Chapter 21. The Embodiment Principle. In the dimly lit backstage of an old theater, Silas stood before a mirror, applying the final touches of stage makeup. For 20 years, he had worn countless masks, stepped into numerous roles, and spoken lines written by others. Each night, he would transform himself into characters more confident, more successful, and more alive than he believed himself to be. Yet beneath the applause lay a profound emptiness. The gap between who he portrayed and who he thought himself to be grew wider with each performance. Until one evening, as he prepared to play the role of a wise merchant who had found life's deeper meaning, a truth struck him with the force of divine lightning. He had been approaching life backward. You see, Silas had always believed that change would come when circumstances shifted, when success arrived, when love found him. But in that moment of clarity, he realized that all his roles had been teaching him the universe's most fundamental law. Transformation begins with embodiment. The teachings whispered through ages reveal this timeless truth. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. Your outer world arranges itself to match your inner state of being. When you understand this, you recognize that manifestation is not about wishing, but about becoming. Consider Louise, who spent years caring for others until exhaustion dimmed her spirit. Each morning, she would wake feeling drained, moving through her day as someone who needed to care for herself. But then she discovered the ancient art of embodiment. Instead of waiting to feel energized, she began moving, speaking, and carrying herself as though vitality already filled her being. She chose to embody the energy she sought. At first, it felt like another performance. Yet as days passed, something remarkable occurred. Her posture shifted naturally, her voice carried new strength, and her decisions reflected someone who valued her own well-being. The universe, ever faithful to its laws, began reflecting back this new identity. Opportunities for rest appeared, support arrived unexpectedly, and her circumstances rearranged to match her embodied state. Sacred practice, the embodiment ritual. Take a moment now to write a detailed profile of your embodied self, the version of you already living your desired reality. How does this self move through space? What energy do they carry? How do they speak, decide, and interact with others? Tomorrow, from the moment you wake until you rest, live as this self. Let every action, word, and choice flow from this embodied identity. The universe cannot help but respond to who you have become. Chapter 22. The Art of Letting Go. In a dimly lit concert hall, Bernard stood before his violin, his hands trembling as they gripped a broken bow. For 30 years, this bow had been his companion, his tool, his safety net. Now fractured, he refused to part with it, carrying it alongside a new one to every performance. The broken bow became a talisman of what was, holding him in the shadow of past glory. Life speaks through symbols, and the bow you clutch reveals what binds you. The universe operates through a divine paradox. What you release returns transformed, while what you grasp slips away. This truth echoes through every dimension of existence. Your attachments to outcomes, to memories, to ways of being, become the very chains that prevent your expansion. Surrender is not defeat, but sacred alignment. When you release your grip on how things should be, you open your hands to receive what is meant to be. This letting go transcends mere physical release. It is an energetic transmission, a signal to the universe that you trust in its perfect orchestration. In the quiet spaces between your desires and their fulfillment lies a sacred invitation. To trust that what leaves creates space for what belongs. Your resistance to release comes from a misunderstanding. You believe holding on equals control. Yet true power flows not from grasping, but from allowing. Eleanor, a collector of rare artifacts, kept her most treasured possession, an ancient medallion locked away in a velvet box. Each day she would open it, touch it briefly, then secure it again. One morning she encountered a young artist whose work moved her soul. Without thought, she gave him the medallion, feeling it belonged with him. Within weeks, her life transformed. Art began flowing into her gallery, bringing with it connections and opportunities she had never imagined possible. Her story mirrors the universe's promise. What you willingly release creates a vacuum that must be filled. Eleanor's gift wasn't just a medallion. It was a declaration of trust in abundance itself. Sacred practice, the ritual of release. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Identify one thing you've been holding too tightly, a belief, a memory, a desire, or a physical object. Write it on a piece of paper. Light a candle and speak these words. I release what no longer serves my highest good. I trust in the wisdom of divine timing. Burn the paper safely, letting the smoke carry your attachment into transformation. For the next 7 days, whenever you feel the urge to grasp or control, breathe deeply and whisper, I release and receive. Chapter 23. The Energy of Decision. In the heart of a bustling marketplace, Arnold wandered day after day, his feet tracing the same paths he'd walked 1,000 times before. Each morning brought new possibilities, yet he remained caught in the familiar spiral of maybe tomorrow and perhaps another day. His map showed 100 destinations, but his compass spun wildly with indecision. You see, the universe responds not to wishes, but to decisions. When you stand at the crossroads of possibility, it is not your desires that shape reality. It is your choices. Each unmade decision creates a fog through which manifestation cannot clearly shine. This truth lies at the core of all creation. The moment you decide with unwavering clarity, invisible forces begin to move on your behalf. Your power does not lie in having options, but in choosing among them. When you commit to a path, you collapse infinite possibilities into a single point of creation. This collapsing of possibility into choice sends ripples through the fabric of reality itself. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, recognizes decision as the language of creation. In a small studio overlooking the sea, Hattie spent years dabbling in various artistic styles, never fully embracing any single direction. Her talents scattered like light through a prism, beautiful but diffused. One morning, gazing at her reflection in the studio window, she made a decision that would alter everything. She would believe in her vision, fully and without reservation. She would paint what called to her soul, regardless of convention or criticism. The moment Hattie chose, the energy around her shifted. Galleries that had overlooked her work suddenly called. Collectors discovered her pieces. Her art, now flowing from a place of decisive clarity, carried a power it had never known before. The universe had not changed. She had simply aligned herself with its natural flow through the power of clear decision. Her transformation reminds you that decision is not about knowing the full path. It is about choosing a direction and allowing the path to reveal itself. When you decide with your whole being, you activate the law of magnetic attraction in its purest form. Sacred practice, the ceremony of decision. Take a single sheet of pure white paper. At its center, write the decision you've been avoiding, the choice that whispers to your soul. Light 3 candles, forming a triangle of intention. Hold the paper in both hands and speak these words. I now decide with absolute clarity. What was uncertain becomes certain. What was unclear becomes clear. This decision is made here and now in the presence of the infinite. Place the paper in the center of the triangle of light and remain in silence for several minutes, allowing the weight of your decision to settle into the fabric of reality. Close your ceremony by declaring, "It is done. So it is." Chapter 24. The Sacred Mirror of Others. In a grand hotel where marble floors echoed with hurried footsteps, Virgil carried bags up and down ornate staircases, his shoulders heavy not just with luggage, but with judgment. Each demanding guest, every condescending glance, fueled his growing resentment. Yet in his heart, a truth waited to be uncovered. You must understand that every person who enters your sphere of experience arrives as a divine messenger. They carry mirrors that reflect the hidden chambers of your consciousness. What you see in others, their faults, their shadows, their light, exists first within you. When Virgil finally paused to examine his frustration, he discovered beneath his resentment lay a deeper truth. Shame about his own perceived status in life. The guests he judged most harshly were those who triggered his buried feelings of unworthiness. In this recognition, the sacred law of reflection revealed itself. Your relationships serve as precise instruments of spiritual awakening. Each interaction, pleasant or challenging, illuminates aspects of your inner world seeking acknowledgement. This is not punishment, but divine precision, the universe's way of bringing the unconscious into light. At the Riverside Inn, Esther struggled for years with difficult customers who seemed to take advantage of her kindness. They haggled over prices, complained about service, and left her feeling diminished. Yet, as she began healing her relationship with self-worth through daily affirmations and boundary setting, something remarkable occurred. Her clientele transformed. New guests arrived who respected her policies, appreciated her service, and valued her work. This transformation wasn't coincidence, it was resonance. As Esther's inner relationship with herself shifted, her outer world adjusted to match her new frequency. The law of attraction operates with perfect accuracy in relationships, drawing to you the precise reflections of your dominant beliefs about yourself. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed, a sacred sanctuary where your inner wisdom can emerge without interference. Take 3 deep conscious breaths, inhaling divine light, exhaling all tension and resistance. Allow yourself to settle fully into the present moment, where all transformation begins. On a blank page, write the names of 3 people who consistently trigger emotional reactions within you. Those whose very presence stirs strong feelings of discomfort, judgment, or pain. For each person, center yourself in a spirit of honest inquiry and ask, what quality in them mirrors something I've denied or rejected in myself? Write without censoring or judging, allowing truth to flow freely from your deepest knowing. Notice what arises. Perhaps their perceived flaws reflect shadows you've tried to hide, or their strengths illuminate gifts you've been afraid to claim. Remember, this practice is not about blame or criticism, but about recognition and integration. These mirrors have appeared in your life as teachers, divinely orchestrated guides illuminating the path toward wholeness. Trust that as you embrace these reflections with compassion, you move closer to embodying your complete, authentic self. Chapter 25. The Sacred Loop. In a small workshop filled with the gentle ticking of countless timepieces, Leonard labored year after year over the same intricate device. Each spring, without fail, the mechanism would falter, and he would meticulously rebuild it, convinced that this time his craftsmanship would prevail. Yet the pattern persisted, as reliable as the seasons themselves. You are now touching upon one of the most subtle yet powerful laws of manifestation, the cycle of unconscious repetition. Just as Leonard rebuilt his device, you too may find yourself recreating situations that echo familiar themes. These are not random occurrences, but precise manifestations of deeply held beliefs operating beneath your conscious awareness. When you encounter the same challenges, face similar relationship dynamics, or struggle with recurring financial patterns, you are witnessing the perfect operation of universal law. Your subconscious mind, like a master clockmaker, assembles the components of your experience according to its established blueprint. Virginia, whose nimble fingers had stitched countless garments in her small shop, lived this truth. For decades, she attracted clients who haggled over prices and devalued her artistry. Each new customer seemed to mirror the last, until one morning, while threading her needle, she glimpsed the pattern. The thread of unworthiness she had woven into her life's tapestry was her own creation. In that moment of clarity, she chose a new story, one where her work commanded respect and fair compensation. As her inner narrative shifted, her clientele transformed, matching her renewed sense of value. This sacred principle reveals that patterns persist not to punish, but to illuminate. Each repetition offers an opportunity for awakening, for seeing the belief that keeps the cycle in motion. The moment you recognize the pattern, you stand at the threshold of transformation. Sacred practice. Take your journal and draw a timeline of a pattern that has appeared repeatedly in your life. Note each instance where this theme has manifested. Then, in the stillness of your heart, write the new story you choose to live. Speak it aloud as if it were already true, for in the realm of spirit, your chosen narrative becomes the template for what follows. Let this be your declaration of freedom from unconscious repetition. Chapter 26. The Path of Least Resistance. In a small fishing village where waves whispered ancient secrets, Ira rose before dawn each day, muscles tense with determination. He fought the ocean's rhythm, believing success came through struggle. Each morning, he pushed his boat against resistant waters, straining against nature's flow until exhaustion claimed his spirit. You now approach a truth that has echoed through the ages. The path of ease is not the path of laziness. It is the way of divine alignment. When you resist the natural current of life, you exhaust your precious energy fighting what seeks to guide you. One misty morning, as Ira's arms trembled with fatigue, he surrendered, not in defeat, but in wisdom. He allowed his boat to drift with the current, and in that moment of release, he discovered the ocean had been leading him to richer waters all along. His nets filled effortlessly, and for the first time he understood, the universe flows not against you, but for you. The law of ease reveals that joy is not a luxury. It is a compass. When your heart lifts and your spirit lightens, you are being guided toward your highest good. Resistance and struggle are not badges of virtue, but signals that you have stepped out of alignment with your natural current. In the heart of an industrial town, Winifred spent years at her factory post, believing hard work meant heavy burden. Yet something within her sparked joy when she sketched designs during her lunch breaks. Instead of dismissing this pleasure as frivolous, she began following these moments of lightness. Each joyful impulse led to another: a night class in design, a small craft fair, an unexpected connection. Within a year, her handmade goods brought more abundance than her years of toil. and her heart sang with purpose. This truth stands eternal. The universe moves most powerfully through channels of joy. When you align with what brings you genuine delight, you tap into the current of creation itself. Your joy is not selfish. It is sacred guidance leading you toward your highest expression.
Sacred practice.
Take your journal and inscribe 10 activities that spark genuine joy in your heart. Choose experiences that light your spirit, no matter how simple they may seem. For 7 days, commit to engaging in one of these joy-filled activities. Notice how life begins to flow more easily in their wake. This is not mere pleasure-seeking. It is spiritual alignment, allowing the current of the universe to carry you toward your highest good. Chapter 27. The Ritual of Receiving. In a valley where seasons turned like ancient wheels, Lyle tended his fields with calloused hands and a weathered heart. Each morning he would kneel in the dry earth and whisper prayers for rain, yet the empty barrels that lined his barn remained untouched, their lids sealed tight against the very blessing he sought. You now encounter a truth that lies at the heart of abundance. What you cannot receive, you cannot keep. The universe's flow moves not just in giving, but in the sacred art of receiving. When you close yourself to life's offerings, whether through unworthiness, fear, or habit, you create resistance in the very stream meant to nourish you. One dawn, as Lyle's prayers echoed across his parched land, wisdom stirred within. He rose slowly and walked to his barn, where dust-covered barrels stood like silent witnesses to his resistance. With trembling hands he lifted each lid, preparing vessels for the abundance he claimed to seek. That very evening, rain blessed his land, and not a drop was wasted. The law of receiving reveals that preparation is invitation, and openness is power. Your ability to accept goodness directly influences your capacity to experience it. When you seal yourself against support, compliments, or love, you unknowingly command the universe to withhold its gifts. In a bustling city apartment, Beatrice raised her children alone, pride becoming both shield and prison. When neighbors offered help with childcare, she declined. When colleagues praised her work, she deflected. When family extended support, she insisted she could manage alone. Yet in her quiet moments, she wondered why abundance seemed to flow around her but never to her. One evening, as her daughter offered a crayon-drawn heart, Beatrice noticed her instinct to minimize the gift. In that moment, she saw her pattern with stunning clarity. She had been refusing not just help, but the very flow of life itself. With conscious intent, she began accepting. First small kindnesses, then larger support. As she opened herself to receiving, abundance found its way through doors she didn't know she'd kept closed. Sacred practice. For 7 days, open yourself to the practice of conscious receiving. 3 times during this week, when praise, help, or love is offered, pause and accept it fully. Notice the sensations that arise, the urge to deflect, the discomfort of allowing, the expansion of accepting. Record each instance in your journal, noting not just what you received, but how it felt to remain open to life's giving. This is not mere acceptance. It is the active cultivation of your capacity for abundance. Chapter 28. The Quantum Leap. In a quiet corner of the city library, Eugene arranged books with mathematical precision, his life as ordered as the Dewey Decimal System he cherished. Each volume had its place, each day its routine, until the morning he chose to shelve Quantum Physics for Dreamers in the self-help section instead. You now approach a truth that transcends the linear nature of transformation. Change need not unfold gradually. In the quantum field of infinite possibility, new realities emerge not through time, but through alignment. Just as particles can exist in multiple states simultaneously, your life holds countless versions of itself, waiting for your consciousness to choose. The moment Eugene placed that book among stories of personal transformation, something shifted in the fabric of his reality. He began seeing his life not as a single timeline, but as a field of possibility. Within weeks, his carefully constructed world gave way to synchronicities that defied his logical mind. He found himself teaching physics to children, weaving wonder into wisdom. His former rigidity dissolved into creative flow. Your reality is not a continuous line, but a series of quantum states. Each moment holds the potential for complete transformation, requiring only your willingness to leap into a new frequency of being. This is not gradual evolution. It is conscious revolution. In a modest apartment across town, Ramona cleaned other people's homes while dreaming of designing them. Instead of seeing herself slowly climbing life's ladder, she chose to imagine herself fully embodying her desired reality. Each night she would close her eyes and step into the vibration of success, feeling it as present truth rather than future possibility. She didn't just envision change, she became it. Within months, one of her clients recognized her eye for design and offered her an apprenticeship. But the external shift merely reflected what had already occurred within. Ramona had quantum leaped into a new version of herself long before circumstances aligned to match it. Sacred practice. Choose one area of your life ripe for transformation. On a fresh page, write a quantum version of yourself, not as a future possibility, but as present reality. Begin with, I am, and describe this version in vivid, emotional detail. How does this version of you move through the world? What thoughts fill their mind? What energy do they emanate? Write this quantum self into existence with such clarity that your current reality has no choice but to bend toward it. Each night before sleep, read this quantum script aloud, not as affirmation, but as acknowledgement of what is already true in the field of infinite possibility. Chapter 29. The Soul's Agreement. In a small village among ancient oaks, Otis worked his forge day after day, hammering metal into shapes that served others, while his own spirit felt shapeless. Though his hands created tools that built kingdoms, his heart remained hollow. Until one night, when dreams spoke louder than the ring of his hammer. In his vision, he stood before a great fire, not of his making, but of divine origin. A voice whispered, "The flame you tend is not just iron's transformation, but soul's awakening." Upon waking, his work became worship, each strike of metal a prayer of purpose. This truth echoes through the ages. Your deepest yearnings are not random impulses or fleeting fancies. They are sacred whispers from the universe, divine blueprints encoded in your soul before time began. What calls to you with a persistent voice, be it art or healing, teaching or building, is not mere preference, but purpose incarnate. Your desires serve as cosmic coordinates, pointing toward the very reason your soul chose this earthly journey. When you feel drawn toward a path with inexplicable magnetism, you are receiving transmission from your higher self, reminding you of contracts made in realms beyond memory. Dorothy, whose hands guided new souls into the world, once dismissed her gift as mere occupation. Yet in the quiet moments between births, she began to recognize that her pull toward healing was no accident. Each life she helped usher into being revealed another fragment of her soul's agreement with the universe. One night, as she sat with a laboring mother, time seemed to stop. In that sacred pause, she understood her passion for midwifery was not a career choice, but a calling that had chosen her. Her soul had made this arrangement long ago, and her heart had simply led her home to it. Your own heart holds similar wisdom. The dreams that won't release you, the visions that haunt your quiet moments, these are not burdens to bear, but beacons lighting your way toward divine purpose. What you are meant to do already lives within you, waiting only for recognition and surrender. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Light a candle to represent the eternal flame of your soul's knowing. Take 3 deep breaths, allowing each exhale to carry away doubt and resistance. On a clean page, write these words: I, your name, recognize and embrace my soul's sacred purpose. Then, without editing or questioning, write what your heart knows to be true about your divine role in this world. Sign this soul contract with reverence, knowing that the universe witnesses and supports this declaration of purpose. Chapter 30. The Codex Within. In the quiet corners of an old Victorian home where dust motes danced in shafts of evening light, Alma discovered more than just a leather-bound book. She uncovered the final key to awakening. The tome, weathered by time yet pristine in its purpose, held no written words upon its chapters. Yet, when held before her mirror, ancient wisdom emerged in golden script, revealing a profound truth. The sacred text you seek has always been written in the chambers of your own heart. You are the living codex, the breathing manuscript of universal law. Every experience, every triumph, every shadow has been carefully scribed into your being, not to teach you what you lack, but to remind you of what you contain. The power you've sought in countless volumes already resides within, waiting only for recognition. When you stand before the mirror of life, everything reflects back your inner truth. Your thoughts become the ink, your beliefs the binding, your faith the golden edges of this divine manuscript. You are not reading the story of creation. You are writing it with every breath, every choice, every moment of alignment with your highest self. Young Clyde, who once believed his voice too small to matter, discovered this truth in the simplest of ways. Standing in his garden one morning, he felt the sun warm his face and knew without doubt or question that he was as much a part of creation as the light itself. In that moment, all separation dissolved. He no longer needed validation from the world. He had found his power in simply being. This journey through the Codex has led you home to yourself. Each chapter, each teaching, each practice has been a mirror, reflecting back your own innate wisdom. The law of attraction is not something to master. It is something to remember, for you are its living expression. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you can be undisturbed. Light a candle to represent your inner light. Take 3 deep breaths, allowing yourself to settle into a profound presence. On a fresh page, create your Codex Manifesto, a declaration of your divine nature and creative power. Begin with these words: I am the living expression of universal law. Let your truth flow onto the page, stating who you are, what you know, and what you choose to create. This is not a wish list, but a declaration of your sovereign power as a creator. Sign it with reverence, knowing that in these words you recognize your true nature as the author of your reality. Conclusion. You have crossed the threshold and become the Codex. What was once a mystery is now a memory, etched not in ink, but in your lived vibration. With each breath you embody the sacred laws that govern creation. Your thoughts are no longer merely thoughts. They are instructions to the universe, vibrating with creative power. The journey doesn't end here. In truth, it is just beginning. Each morning brings fresh opportunities to align with your divine nature, to witness the universe responding to your conscious presence. You are the living scripture, the breathing testament to universal law. Your life is now your teaching. Every choice, every word, every moment of surrender or creation speaks the language of awakening. You are not who you were, and you can't unknow what you now remember. The veil has lifted, revealing not just knowledge, but remembrance. The power was never in the seeking. It was in the recognition of what has always been true. You are both the reader and the author of this cosmic story, the observer and the observed, the creator and the creation itself. The Codex of Awakening lives within your every breath, every word, every aligned choice. It pulses through your being as naturally as blood flows through your veins. You need no external validation, no permission to be who you truly are. The wisdom you sought in countless volumes now flows from your own heart, clear and true as mountain springs. There is no going back, not because the past is forbidden, but because your soul no longer fits inside the shell of forgetfulness. Like a butterfly emerged from its chrysalis, you have outgrown the confines of limited thinking. Your consciousness has expanded beyond the boundaries of what once seemed possible. Go forward with reverence, with courage, and with joy, for the universe now mirrors back a creator who has awakened. Your journey doesn't end here. Click on this next audiobook that I promise will completely transform your perspective.